I'm over here trying to record a slice of pie, and my table is occupied by a cat. Hello and welcome to A Slice of Pie, the weekly news-ish show where we talk about tech, game news, and what's going on the channel. And let's start with what's going on the channel. First off, we have Nova Build Part 2 coming up soon. That is the process in which I made a liquid cooling loop. It is a very cool video if you've never actually seen anyone do that. And if you have seen somebody do that, it's kind of fun watching me do it for the first time ever. I look so professional. It's surprising. That video might be up by Wednesday, but I'm not putting any guarantees on it. There's another video that I'm also working on. I'm currently working on the script for it, and that is it worth it to liquid cool your PC, specifically with high-end exotic cooling? Now, I will say this, it does look cool, but is it really worth it? That video will go into that. We also have a video about super resolution and true 1440p gaming and how it works, because believe it or not, in our testing, which we've actually completed, we've got 3 different results that we can kind of put everything into. It's 3 neat boxes, which is weird because technically speaking, data usually doesn't come out this clean with a small sample size, but this time it did. So we're writing the script on that and going to kind of sit down like this or stand up like this, and I'll actually explain to you guys exactly what's happening, what's the technology behind it. We just have a little bit more research to do, and then that video is ready to go. And then finally, the last video on my plate is related to something that we're going to talk about later, but I'm going to be testing the Vega versus the 1080 in 2019. Now, we'll talk about it later, but from what I can tell, the Vega's got some interesting performance gains that are hidden in most titles. And actually, there's one more video that I'm working on, actually. You guys seem to really like my troubleshooting thing where I did the Asus Aura troubleshooting. Well, this time I got a game. You see, I like Fallout 4. I really do like that game. I've spent 300 or so odd hours in it. It's not working well at 1440p, and I fixed it. But the process I had to go through to fix it was kind of lengthy, which is why I'm like, oh, I could put this in the troubleshooting series. This time we won't do the vlog segment. I'll actually just sit down here, explain what we had to change, why we had to change it, and then hopefully come up with a reason. But I am going to be doing some further testing. I'm going to plug this system, the laptop, into the 1440p monitor to see if it's actually an AMD or Nvidia based issue. But if it is one or the other, well, yeah, we'll explain later. That video is in the pipeline. So let's move on to the game news. We heard about the Switch Lite, or the Switch Mini as it was being called back then, last week, and we heard that the Switch Pro may be delayed, but now we're hearing that the Switch Pro might actually only be a subtle upgrade. What I'm thinking is they're going to go ahead and upgrade to the new Tegra processors, and that should give them a little boost in performance, allowing them to do 14, or not even 14, maybe even 1440. I'm actually starting to think 1440 is actually pretty reasonable. 1440p maybe, 1080p definitely. I would like to see 1080p handheld, but that would eat up more battery life. That being said, the Switch Pro could be coming. It could just be like a mini upgrade, kind of like the difference between the DS and the DSi, or the 3DS and the 3DS Pro. Was it the Pro? Or no, it was the new 3DS. That's right. That was the name. Oh my God, I forgot the name. A research forum has thrown out a price for the PlayStation 5, and at $400, that sounds totally reasonable, except for the fact that what we've already heard with a specialized SSD using AMD's new 3000 series APUs, that's a little low. Now, Sony could be selling it at a loss. That is not uncommon, especially in the games industry. You sell the hardware at a loss and a software at a gain. Plus, they do make money on things like PSN subscriptions and that sort of stuff. But if it's the case that they're at $400, I don't know how impressive this technology is going to be. I mean, realistically, it could just be an incremental step up and everyone would still buy it. That's how consoles work. Starlink is dropping the toys to life part of the game. Now, I personally own Starlink and I think that the toys to life segment of it is the worst part of the game. Hands down, the worst part of the game, because the rest of the game is No Man's Sky with dogfighting and actual story and strategy. It's a good game. Ubisoft made a great game, but they slapped toys to life on top of it, and the microtransactions to actually buy all your ships is just too much. It's a little too much for me. Personally, I'm waiting for the actual expansions to go on sale so that I could actually enjoy the game some more, because I made the mistake of buying one of the ships for the toys category, not knowing that you could buy them digitally, and then it turns out you can't actually play with them digitally unless you use the toy, and so I was like, well, I wasted money. Point is, they're getting rid of the Toys to Life category altogether. They're going to be selling the game standalone, and they're going to be adding extra stuff. In fact, actually, at my local Target, all of them are discounted right now. So essentially, Ubisoft did exactly what I was predicting they were going to have to do after Starlink came out, because I loved it. I just hated the Toys to Life part. So the fact that it's gone, no love lost. I still have an R-Wing, but the R-Wing is locked digitally no matter what. So yeah, I'm glad, because the toys part sucked. Let's go into the tech news. Tech news, and more tech news. It's not Nvidia's week. Oh my goodness. Oh, poor Nvidia. First, Tesla's like, you know what? We're making our own processor to do our self-driving cars, and it's better than the one you made. And then Nvidia was like, no, we made a better one and you refuse to use it. And Tesla's still like, it's still cheaper for us to make our own. So Nvidia ended up actually losing Tesla as a major backer for their self-driving autonomous car division. Nvidia was actually supplying the chip that was used inside the Teslas to implement self-driving technology. Tesla has gone on record and said, hey, we made a new one, it's cool, it's our own, and they partnered with Samsung to actually make that fabrication happen. But it doesn't end for Nvidia. Their new graphics card, the 1650, is only useful if you want a Nvidia graphics card at like $120. To be completely honest, it sucks. Price-wise, it's very comparable to a RTX 570, and the 570 is 20% better than the Nvidia card on average. And in Vulkan-based titles, the 570 just takes off. That being said, if you don't need a PCIe connector or don't have a PCIe connector, you can shove some certain models into. You have to be careful because not all of them do ditch the 6-pin connector. Some of them are 95 watt and some of them are 75 watt TDP. Essentially, the card is useless and it doesn't compete at all with AMD's low end, and AMD's low end is currently creaming it. And I mean, I thought I got a good price on the 580 when I got it from Best Buy. You can actually get a better price now. I actually saw it for like $150. I'm like, damn it, should have waited a little bit longer. But still, $150 for a 580, which is better than the 570, and that would be better, and that will cream the 650. So realistically, Nvidia's low end, you either go up to a 1660 or you go with the AMD option, because the 1650 isn't worth it. Now, they could release a 1650 Ti, maybe. That will balance out if it has 20% performance gains to the RX 570, the RX 570 at the same price point. But you are, for the first time, actually looking at AMD completely demolishing that price point, and Nvidia not really competing well, even with their newest card. And the worst part is, even if you liked Nvidia specific Turing features like ray tracing, or if you liked things like their hardware acceleration for streaming, those have been stripped from the card, meaning you could also buy, I think, a 1060 for around that price. There's no reason for this card to exist. It really does suck. And surprisingly, every tech YouTuber except for one has a video where they're saying it sucks. The only one, the standout one, was Bitwit, who was like, you know, I'm gonna use this in like a Dell and we're gonna see how it games. And then he's just generally a positive guy, so I don't really think he's an Nvidia show for that. And then finally, I'm really not trying to beat up Nvidia on this one, but we alluded to this earlier. Vega, for the first time, beat an RTX 2080 Ti. Yes, you heard me, an RTX 2080 Ti. World War Z uses the Vulkan API, and Vulkan is really good at using all of your hardware. Turns out AMD's brute force method ended up actually creating a supercard for this specific use. Meaning, yes, you can get frame rates higher than a 2080 Ti due to the fact that AMD's Vega processors are just ridiculous. That also being said, I do want to dive further into this issue because when Vega came out, we believed that it was a 1080 equivalent, and testing showed it as a 1080 equivalent. And that was lukewarm, because we wanted something better. We wanted a 1080 Ti. As the 1080 has aged, it's slowly shifting back, but the Vega isn't moving. It's the weirdest thing. It's like AMD made this with technology that couldn't be utilized yet. Or essentially they made it with technology that wasn't being utilized in games yet. And so now that the technology is starting to be utilized, the card retains its usefulness. I'm finding this to be a fascinating example and not something we normally see in the tech industry. That being said, I'm going to test it further. I do know that the Vega cards can overclock pretty well because I accidentally overclocked mine. And I really do mean accidentally. I was able to hit like 200 frames at 1440p in Fallout at one point, though it thermal throttled really, really quickly at that because Vega is a hot card and I'm using a reference cooler. But I do intend to do some light overclocking on the 1080 to see if we can maybe actually get a solid answer on which was actually better in the long run. Intel. Intel is actually releasing new notebook processors. Now, normally that wouldn't be much news except for the fact that they've got an 8-core, 16-thread processor going in a notebook. That's awesome. Now, this is vindicative of the time. Back, I don't know, let's say 2-3 years ago, Intel said 4 cores is enough and you're gonna take it and like it. Now 8 core. 8 core seems to become the standard, which is awesome because I've been saying for a while, you know what, 8 cores is actually pretty nice, and you know, I digress. It is pretty cool that they're putting an i9 processor in a notebook, but how chunky are these things gonna be? I mean, they're gonna need some beefy cooling, but are we looking at like Alienware Area 15s, or are we looking at like Asus mothership level thickness? Probably. I mean, we've seen some pretty thick laptops in the past. 2 power bricks and like, yeah. But could be really, really awesome. I'm looking forward to it. Granted, I already have my laptop. I don't plan on upgrading this baby at all. It's the most expensive laptop I've ever owned, and I'm still not replacing it. So thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed this video, you can leave a like, comment, subscribe. I'm going to edit and I'm going to find out how this sounds and how this looks and everything. But next week, there should be some extra camera accessories in my possession that might actually make things look better. I'm thinking a light like right here, like a nice little like camera light will help. I mean, I'm flooding the background properly, but I'm not illuminating my face properly, I don't think. And of course, I'm mic'd up a little bit better. And then I'm also thinking I'm gonna get that 50mm lens because I'm sitting around 50mm here. I like the tightness of it, but the 50mm lens has an amazing low light. So I'm yammering. Thank you guys again. Wolfie out.